guys don't know what your customers are skeptical of, you're missing the biggest piece of the pie, which your job as somebody who's creating a sales presentation, selling or marketing, your job is to get inside of the conversation that's already going on in their head. Because there is a conversation when they're watching me, they're saying, this fucking guy, there's no way. There's no way, right? There's no way that what he's saying is true. It's bullshit. I mean, he's too this, he's too that, whatever. And it, you know, I don't even know that it's people like really judging in a sense. I think it's just people who, we all have a built-in skepticism. It's a survival mechanism that we have, you know, and it's useful because, I mean, if somebody comes up and they're bullshitting, we want to be able to identify that, you know. So it is a useful tool. But if you want to sell more, if you want to sell less, just avoid it and act like it doesn't exist. Okay, that's one way to sell nothing, is to just act like somebody's not skeptical. One way to sell a lot of shit is to say, you know what, you're probably skeptical of this. And you know what, I was too. But what happened is I found out after doing this, this, and this, and getting these results and so on, and the way that I actually word it is in the webinar script, okay? So you can actually kind of see how that messaging, how I kind of transition that messaging, okay?
Hey, what's going on? This is Dave Sharpe. Welcome to the Legendary Entrepreneur Show. Hopefully you enjoyed the clip. And I just want to give you a little example, a story of something that happened in my business that was directly related to starting to address people's skepticisms. I've been writing my own copy, letters, presentations, writing me own. I sound like I'm the guy from Lucky Charms, like a little leprechaun over here. I've been writing my own presentations for a long time. For years, I've never outsourced that stuff. And when I first got started, I would look at people and I would wonder, man, how does this person sell so much stuff? And as I started to get the right coaches and the right mentors, and that was everything for me because it was difficult for me to pick up on these things on my own as I was starting out, or even as I was trying to get to the next level in my business, income and impact level. It was hard for me to pick up on these subtle little things that people that were really creating crazy results were actually doing. So that's why I'm always hiring people, coaches and mentors. And I did. A couple of years into my journey, I hired a coach and we were talking about selling, specifically the psychology behind what makes human beings pull out their credit card and decide to become a customer, go from interested or semi-interested to an actual customer. And one of the biggest things that I was doing wrong that I didn't even realize was I was completely avoiding the elephant in the middle of the room. What do you mean by that, Dave? Well, there is a conversation that's happening inside of every single one of your prospects prior to becoming customers' heads. And it's all of the pessimistic criticisms or even just simple questions that they have that so many entrepreneurs, marketers, and salespeople try to avoid, thinking that if I just don't bring it up, well, maybe I can sweep it under the rug. And that's never effective. What I found, and this took my presentations from doing okay, mediocre results, average, to skyrocketing. I started to, increase the conversion rate on certain presentations from, 3 and 5% to 20 to 30%. Because one of the most important things that I did was at the very beginning of the presentation, I said things like, you may be thinking. And that was a great way to lead into talking about the skepticisms. And then I would go into feel, felt, found. Well, you know what? You may be thinking X, Y, Z, and guess what? I used to feel the same way too, until I actually did a little bit of research, or I actually started to use the system myself. And what I found out was that it's actually totally different than what I thought at the beginning. And now today, I feel totally comfortable sharing this with you. I'm actually excited. So that is a perfect way to actually address the skepticism. Thing one is don't try to avoid it. Don't try to sweep it under the rug. If you do, it is literally like a big stinky elephant with poop on the bottom of his hoof sitting in the middle of your living room or your customer's living room and you not addressing it. So that's thing one, address it. Thing two is the exact wording that you can use to address that skepticism. Hey, listen, you may be thinking X, Y, Z. Well, listen, I used to feel that way too, and what I found out was X, Y, Z. And now today, I feel totally different about the situation. John used to think the same way. He felt totally skeptical about moving into this business or taking or starting his career as a coach or going into the information marketing business. And what he found out is that it is one of the most lucrative industries and easiest to get into right now, especially in 2015. There's over $100 billion in sales of online information products, coaching, and consulting that's happening. And he found out it was the best decision that he ever made. So it is one of the most powerful language patterns that you can use, but also one of the most powerful sales psychological triggers that is either going to trigger somebody negatively to not feel comfortable to move forward, or to trigger them positively, to make them feel comfortable to say, you know what, this guy really gets it. He understands it. I feel like he's covered all of my questions. Because at the end of the day, people just really want their questions answered. And what's really powerful is if you can go inside to the conversation that's happening inside of their head and answer them before they have to ask. So use that. I can't wait to hear how it works out for you. This is Dave Sharpe. Thanks for watching, and I look forward to seeing you on the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.